In late summer 2019, my friends and I went on a trip to the far north of Norway, up in the Arctic Circle in an area called Lofoten. It's a very scenic region, great for hiking and outdoor pursuits. We flew into the nearest city to rent a car, but population density is sparse up there and large towns are few and far between. We were booked into an apartment in a small fishing village, which was about a 7-hour drive from the airport we flew into. After a long day of traveling, we wanted to get to our rental as soon as possible. The speed limits were very strict also, which didn't help, and I have to admit, as the named and only driver of the group, I found it a struggle to stick to them at times. There were long stretches of road which stretched miles in front of us with no other traffic in sight. Anyway, it was approaching midnight and we had broken the back of the journey. We had just passed the main town in the area and it was now only 40 minutes left to go until we arrived at the place we were staying. Most of the road had been single lanes, but it split into an overtaking lane as we exited the town. I took this opportunity to pass a Golf which was ahead of us. I passed the car thinking nothing of it. I was talking with my friends when suddenly I saw him get really close to the back of our car now that we were in front. He would repeatedly come closer and then back off until he switched on a large floodlight on the roof of his car. They had long dark winters, so I guess they used these lights during those months mainly. It was very bright and distracting. As I mentioned earlier, the Norwegians seem to take their road safety and speed limits very seriously, and although I thought he may have taken offense to what he thought was reckless driving, I did nothing controversial in overtaking this guy. I did my best to remain calm and composed on the road and obey the speed limit as I thought he may back off. I muttered to my friend Jesse, who was in the front seat with me, "Let's see if this guy follows us here." Needless to say, he did, and my patience began to wear thin. I put some distance between us, and strangely, he didn't speed up to catch us. By now, the whole group was nervous, but as he didn't race to catch us, we thought it might be okay. We then hit a red light at a one-lane bridge which led to the village. Pensively looking in the mirror, I saw him wind around the corner when the light went green. I decided it would be sensible not to drive straight to our apartment and unpack our car, as this guy would know where we were staying. So instead, I decided to wind through different random streets in the village and see if he followed. My heart sank as he did, and everyone was panicking. I have to mention, it was now past 1 a.m. and we were in a very remote area. Eventually, we hit a dead end, and I had to do a turn to face him. He tried to block us in, but his car was fairly small, and with a bit of wheel work, I managed to get past him. As I did, I caught a look at the guy. His face was cold and expressionless. His eyes simply stayed locked on us, following us as we raced past him. There were 3 guys in our group, and with numbers on our side, I had thought about getting out and confronting him. But this is an isolated area where guns are legal and used often for hunting and fishing, so for all I knew, he had one waiting for us in his front seat. I mean, this guy already followed us for nearly an hour in the middle of the night. Who knew what he was capable of? My friend decided to call the local police station, which was hard as we didn't know the area or the language. Luckily, we did manage to find a station to contact, and the operator spoke English. They said an officer would take our details at the station, but it was back in the town we had passed. Another 40 minutes away. I drove quickly. This time the guy was right behind us the whole way. As we began to see signs for the town and houses on the outskirts, the guy following us slowed right down. I felt a little safer, but this feeling was short-lived, as I saw in my rearview mirror that 2 cars were waiting to join him off the side of the road. One pulled out in front of him and another behind him. There was now a convoy of 3 cars all traveling like a pack. We were following Google Maps to the police station. It was in an industrial harbor area of the town, full of warehouses and side alleys. The station was right at the end, and as we pulled into the parking lot, we saw the convoy split in different directions. They clearly knew we were going to the police. We were shocked, however, to find that there was seemingly no one inside the station. It was pitch black. We got a hold of the operator again, and they said that an officer was just coming. We could see the cars now circling like sharks in the distance. 5 minutes or so went by like this, and then a large male officer emerged on foot from around the back corner of the building. Although fairly aloof at first, he could clearly see the girls in our group crying and visibly shaken, and he offered to escort us out of town. He said he would go and get a van for us to start out. We pulled off and anxiously drove past each side alley and dark warehouse parking bay. I could see the officer was now coming up behind us, when suddenly two of the cars pulled out from the sides of us, and the Golf that had started this whole thing drove right past us, shooting me in a motionless stare as he drove by. I pumped the horn several times and slammed on the brakes, hoping the officer would figure out that this was the guy that had been stalking us. A few seconds went by. I was staring in the mirror. Then, to my relief, the officer put the van's lights on and pulled out to block the Golf guy from going any further. I could hear the van door slam shut, and my friend Jesse jumped out of the car and ran behind the police van to see what was going on. I followed about a minute later, thinking that should the worst happen, we had a burly officer with us and this might be our best chance of taking this guy down. As I came to the back of the van, I saw the cold face of the guy who had been following us. He was an average-looking man who seemed to have a thick Russian or Eastern European accent as he muttered to the officer while opening his car door. Still staring at me, by the way. I was shocked that he was starting his car up again, but the officer rightly pointed out that he had technically done nothing wrong. It wasn't a crime to drive on a road in the middle of the night, and there was nothing to pin on him. The officer said he took his details though, and if he came close to us again, we now had a direct number to ring and it would be escalated. All the officer could do was fully escort us out of town as promised, but he couldn't drive us all the way back to our village in accommodation. He broke off from us on the outskirts of town. I sighed in both relief and dread as we were now on our own. I kept checking the mirror, and no one was visibly following us. I still wasn't taking any chances though, and parked away from our apartment. We locked the door behind us and tried to forget about the whole saga. The two extra cars were the disturbing part of this. Who were they, and why did he call them? Either way, they sure had something planned, and I'm just glad we were able to navigate our way to the police in a foreign country. The rest of the trip went well. It really is a stunning part of the world, but it's sobering to reflect on how differently it could have ended.